The batter is made all in one bowl. The batter is made in all. For Hi guys, welcome back to Sweet Tooth. Today we are making one of my absolute favorite cakes, and I cannot believe we've not made it on the channel before. This is a naughty chocolate fudge cake that is decadent, it's moist. The batter is all made in one bowl and it results in the most gorgeous, rich and moist chocolate cake, all layered together with a decadent frosting. This is one that is perfect for birthdays and one that I make all the time, so I'm sharing the recipe with you in the hopes that it will inspire you to give it a go. So we're gonna start off by mixing together our wet ingredients, and the great thing about this recipe is that you're gonna mix your wet ingredients with your dry ingredients and you don't have to worry about anything else, and you can do it by hand as well. So into a bowl, we've got some oil. There is no butter in this cake, and it's actually the oil that leaves it so moist and rich, so it is a fantastic little method to learn how to do. We've got some milk going in. To our milk and our oil, I have a little bit of golden syrup. Now, if you can't get golden syrup here, you could alternatively use a bit of maple syrup. It's not as thick and unctuous, but maybe a bit of maple syrup and honey would do the job. So, to this, we have 3 large free-range eggs, which I'm just gonna crack in here and then whisk it all up. When I first started writing about food, I started a food blog in 2007, and this was one of the first recipes that I ever put up, and it has continued to be one of the most successful recipes on my website. So I cannot believe we've got to this point and I haven't shared it with you guys. So not only is it easy with the one bowl method, but this cake batter results in a super rich and moist cake that will keep, so you could make it in advance for maybe 5 days. It still stays rich and it still stays nice and moist. So that is our wet ingredients good to go. We've got a big jug ready to be added to our dry ingredients. And for our dry ingredients, I have a little bit of flour, and I'm sifting all of these just so that I get a really nice airy mix. So self-raising flour in. I've also got a good bit of bicarbonate of soda, which is going to give us a nice rise alongside the self-raising flour. We've got some cocoa powder going in as well, which is where our chocolatey element comes in. So sift that in as well. And essentially that is the hard bit done. We've got sugar going in here as well. And now we've all the dry ingredients, so it's just a case of folding them together and then creating a well in the center. It's kind of like a sophisticated box cake. You know the ones you can buy in the supermarket that are ready to go? This is the same sort of idea. You've basically your wet and dry ingredients, you're combining them, and you get left with a gorgeous cake batter. So our wet ingredients go straight into this well. So as you can see, it's a really simple method and it works to give you the most gorgeous, rich cake. I'm just gonna add a pinch of salt just to balance out any of the sweetness in there. And then it's time to get in there with a whisk. You could do this with an electric whisk, but one of these will do the job and you'll eventually get left with a really rich, chocolatey batter. Now, with the tiniest bit of mixing, you are left with this glossy, glorious chocolate moment, which is very exciting, and now is ready to be poured into our lined baking tins. So I have 2 little lined baking tins with some parchment paper in the bottom. These have a little removable base, so we'll be able to pop them out once they're nicely cooked. And now it's just a case of evenly distributing this between the 2. So let's get pouring. This is going to bake off now at 180 degrees, that's 350 degrees Fahrenheit, for about 20 minutes, just until they're nice and risen. And once they are done, it's time to get on with our frosting. So my cakes have come out of the oven, they've cooled completely, and it really is important that they've cooled completely. I've put them on a wire rack to make sure that they are completely cool. And now it's time for the frosting. And for this frosting, it's a little bit of a different one because we're using cream cheese to give a tangy chocolate taste. So to our bowl, I'm gonna get in there with some cream cheese. This frosting is one that you can make again and again, and not even with this cake, it works with a whole host of different cakes. So it's a great one to learn how to make. I've got some softened butter here, and all I'm gonna do is beat these up together, and then we're gonna fold in a little bit of icing sugar and some cocoa powder. So on with the blitzer. So Okay, that is our butter and our cream cheese nicely mixed up. At this point, I'm gonna get rid of the beaters because we don't need them anymore. Now, we've got this beautiful little mix. This needs a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of chocolate action, or cocoa action. So sieve in a little bit of icing sugar. And by a little bit, I mean quite a hefty amount. And also that cocoa powder. And now, it's time to make it rain. Now, when it comes to birthday cakes, I have plenty of great recipes that are perfect for birthdays, but this one I always think looks really great. It's a chocolate cake, it's a classic, it's something that, you know, everyone craves, and this one bowl method makes life a little bit easier, especially if you have a big occasion to cook for. Right, we have our dry ingredients in, and now it's just a case of folding them through with the spatula. Okay, we are in business. We have a beautiful chocolatey looking frosting that is now ready for our cake. So I have a cake stand. I'm gonna pop up one of our cakes. So I've taken off the parchment paper off the bottom. I'm actually gonna put this top side down because often you might get a little bubble on the top. So if you pop it top side down like this, you should get nice even cake layers. I'm gonna take up a generous amount of that frosting and pop it straight on top. This is where you do want to be generous because when you dive into this, you should have a good layer of frosting right in the middle. So, straight across the center. So just evenly enough spread it across that base. And now it is time for our second layer. So pop that straight on top and give it a little squeeze and press it down. Right, the remaining frosting gets slopped on top. This is not your perfect bakery cake. This is a birthday cake. This is for family occasions. This is for feasts. So you want to go hefty on that frosting. I think at this point, I'm actually going to use a little offset spatula just so that we get nice swirls across the top. So once you've got nice swirling action going on, the last little touch is to douse it in lots of rainbow sprinkles. In a world of mirror glazed perfection, this is the antidote. This is the chocolate cake of my dreams. It's not perfect, it's rustic, it's homemade, and that's exactly how I want my chocolate cake to be. Right, we are gonna tuck into this, and I think it deserves a slice straight out of the middle. So dive into those layers, dive into that cream cheese frosting. This is where it's at. Oh my goodness, does that not look gorgeous? Okay. Tuck in layers of cream cheese frosting. That delicious moist chocolate cake. Here we go. Oh my God. I've got chocolate all over me. But that is the most delicious chocolate cake. You can see how simple it is to make. I will leave a link to it in the box below. And please leave me a comment letting me know if you're going to try this gorgeous chocolate confection. Until then, my friends, I will see you soon. Goodbye.